Hello, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Darren Phelan, and I'm an adjunct communications professor here at Solano Community College, as well as the coach of our speech and debate team. And on behalf of our dean, the School of Liberal Arts, Neil Glines, all of our coaches, the director of forensics, Anna Patero, somewhere there in back, Brian Nelson, Zach Friels, and Kyle Varga, and on behalf of our speech and debate team, we'd just like to welcome all of you tonight to Speech Night. Now, I know most of you are just here to earn extra credit, all right? I know that, okay? But I would still like to thank all of you for coming out to support our nationally ranked speech and debate team. Fun fact for you, in 1974, it is claimed that Speech Night started because of likable slackers needed to earn the grade to pass their class. Yes, so thank you to all of you fun-loving slackers out there. This night would not be possible if it weren't for people like you. Yeah, we can applaud to that. Yeah, I like that, yeah. Tonight, the Solano Community College Speech and Debate team will be showcasing a variety of events, the events that they use to compete against numerous colleges all across the United States. The proceeds for tonight's event will go towards sponsoring and helping fund our trips to the state and national tournament that'll be taking place in the spring. So we thank you so much for your time, for your money, and of course for your support. I lastly just want to thank a few thanks. We want to thank the broadcasting class, COM 75. You'll see them around here broadcasting and televising this event live. I just want to say thank you so much for doing that. They've done it the last 3 years. And if anyone is interested in broadcasting in sports or in any sort of broadcasting, you should take advantage of COM 75. We are one of the only junior colleges in Northern California that offers such a class, so take advantage of that. Also, if anyone's interested in joining the speech and debate team, you're inspired or motivated maybe by some of the speeches tonight, you can check it out. It's COM 50, and you can reach out to Anna Patero or myself if you're interested in that. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you so much to all the faculty and staff that made tonight possible, setting all this stuff up, people collecting money. Thank you so much to everybody. And I'll get right into it. With no further ado, I'm going to bring out our speech and debate team will be presenting. The first introducer will be Aisha Ahad, and she will be breaking down the event and our first presenter. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy.
Hi, guys. Our first speech for the evening is going to be a persuasive speech to entertain. In a persuasive speech, the speaker examines a problem and provides the audience with a solution to consider. Presenting this evening's persuasive speech is David Hayward. David is a second-year competitor for the Speaking Falcons and won first place at our most recent tournament hosted by Hartnell College. Everyone, please welcome David Hayward.
You know, I was at work the other day as my profession of being a fast food employee in the midst of a huge rush to get customer orders out and ready. I finally completed an order, and so I called out the number. Number 53, order is ready, please. Number 53, order is ready, please. A kid comes up to take the order, and I say the polite thing that I'm supposed to say with a smile on my face, which is, thank you for your service, and have a nice day. Now, the kid just took the food and rushed off. So, what the hell is wrong with this picture? Do you know? The mistake is that the kid forgot to say two magic words, and they are, thank you. It seems that good etiquette no longer exists in our society. So, what exactly is happening to good etiquette? I mean, why are the words like please and thank you that previous generations have worked so hard to teach their young being seldomly used? According to RudeBusters.com on October the 1st, 2015, 61% of people believe that Americans are a hell of a lot ruder now than they were in the past. Wow. Whatever happened to good old-fashioned spanking and discipline? Even the great Bill Cosby said that children should be spanked. Well, maybe his mama should have spanked him. Today, I would like to persuade you to bring back good etiquette because it is important for our society to wake up and remember how to behave before we all become insensitive, incompetent assholes. Or as the international community so affectionately calls us, the ugly Americans. So before we turn into Congress, let's bore through the effects of having bad etiquette. Second, we will savage through the rudimentary causes of this particular problem. And finally, we will courteously discuss some solutions on how to mind our manners. So how exactly is bad etiquette affecting our society? According to a Washington Post article on February the 12th, 2014, etiquette affects you in the workplace, in the home, and in all social aspects. Basically, whether you're adopting a dog or getting a date, either way you're trying to get lucky, and manners will influence your success. So fellas out there, let us all be gentlemen in the streets and in the sheets. Got you. So when did it become acceptable for people to text their phones during job interviews, break up over text, or even telling your mom to fuck off when you didn't finish your chores? Whatever happened to simple things like, how are you doing? Good morning, or even greetings, good sir, greeting that dates back to the time of our founding fathers. It's all being replaced with simple things like, hey, sup, a word in the Urban Dictionary that so eloquently defines as cool for people who are too freaking lazy to say, what's up? Damn, society's changed, don't you think? I'm pretty sure our forefathers are rolling in their graves right now because so-called role models like Kanye West, the rudest man in America, in my opinion, are teaching kids that it's okay to express themselves however they bloody freaking feel. Like at the VMA Awards, for 20 minutes. Time that none of us, unfortunately, are ever going to get back. And so, my fellow Americans, you want idiocracy? Vote for the man that President Obama so fondly referred to as a jackass. Kanye West 2020, Kim Kardashian and the Kardashian family approved this message. In other sources, School.com on March 5, 2012 reports that 76% of people believe Americans are a hell of a lot ruder now than they were 20 to 30 years ago. For example, at a photo session in 2004, our former Vice President Dick Cheney was caught on camera telling a U.S. Senator from Congress to go fuck himself. More recently, Rolling Stone magazine, in an article written by economist Paul Krugman on October the 23rd, 2014, reported that our current loquacious Vice President was caught on camera whispering to President Obama that passing the Affordable Care Act was a big fucking deal. Wow. If the vice presidents of the free world can't even keep a civil tongue, is there really any fucking hope for the rest of us? Well, before this polite nation gets buried deeper into its own shit because we have no manners, let's discuss why we have this problem. So what is causing America to lose good etiquette in the first place? According to ABC News Last Access on October the 8th, 2015, there are 3 reasons: the economy, parents, and technology. People have become so rude because they're so focused on making that money. Just listen to the radio for 15 freaking minutes. Bitch better have my money. Don't act like you forgot, blah, blah, blah. Cause I'ma tell you, like Pooh told me, cash rules everything around me, singing dollar, dollar bill, y'all, dollar, dollar bill, y'all, dollar, dollar bill. She works hard for the money, na, 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 so hard for the money, na, 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 na. She works hard for the money, so you better treat her right. See what I mean? America is all about the Benjamins. And second, we certainly can't blame all the disrespectful children and teenagers out there because there definitely is a bigger reason behind all the damn disrespect. And that is the parents. People have become so rude because of the parents, you know? And fourthly, at least one other factor does appear to stand out as generally detracting from polite society. And that is technology. We assume that we can use technology any way we want, but the problem is that technology was given to us, but the instructions weren't. Don't you pick up that cell phone, boy. Don't you give me that thing. You see, before these things called cell phones were invented, people wouldn't even think about yakking on the phone at the dinner table or in the movie theater. It just wasn't heard of because cell phones were not invented. Cell phones, they stated, are one of the best but rudest inventions of our time. It's a shame that kids nowadays will never understand what we 90s babies had to go through if we didn't use common respect. They're probably too busy checking their iPhones or iPads, seeing who's going to be at that dance, who probably won't show up, or they're busy working on the latest catchphrase, which will be out of date within the next 5 years. Speaking of which, does anybody use the words YOLO or homie anymore? Anybody? See, that's what I'm talking about. Looks like Ice Cube was right about one thing, clearly. We need to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves, and that was straight out of Compton. So before this polite nation burns to the ground any further, I sure so hope there's something left of it. Let me be Superman here, or at least try to be, and provide some solutions to this pathetic, preposterous, but preventable problem of poor etiquette. It's very simple. You all need to discipline your kids, for goodness sakes. Teach them proper table etiquette. Teach them how to say the words please and thank you. Spank them. Yes, I said spank them if they don't. Because sometimes kids need a good ass whooping. And there's nothing wrong with a simple thing called common courtesy or respect, or as Aretha Franklin puts it, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Find out what it means to me. To teach these young kids while they're at an early age to read and write, rather than teach them how to text and use a cell phone. You want to know what my mom said when I asked the innocent question, when can I have a cell phone at the young tender age of 13? Her response was, when your broke ass gets a job, boy. And that is where I learned the term ass from. According to EmpoweringParents.com on March 13, 2009, when your child displays poor etiquette, don't lecture them, teach them. It was true 6 years ago, and it's still true now. Discipline your child now so a correctional officer won't have to do it later. And finally, one thing we all need to do as a society is stop swearing in public. Monkey see, monkey do. So today we've hasted through the effects of having bad etiquette, we've shamelessly uncovered the causes, and we finally incorporated some practical solutions to this problem. Just imagine what the next 10 years would be like if we don't teach the children now. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be around to imagine this. So the next time you walk down the street, greet a stranger, or even log on to Facebook, Snapchat, or Instagram, because we all love that social media, right? Say something nice to someone, or message them. How are you doing? Good morning, or even greetings, good sir, if you want to be formal like our forefathers. A small polite greeting could really make someone's day. I appreciate your undivided attention and your cooperation. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Stop.
Requires the performer to bring the words from the page to life in a prose, poetry, or drama. This is similar to acting in that the performer embodies a character, but different in that the performer becomes all of the characters. Solano offers this class in the spring semester, Communication Studies 15. Matthew Sherman won first place in the poetry interpretation at our first tournament at San Francisco State and will be performing his piece, Letting Go. Please welcome Matthew Sherman.
You bet we fight until pressed against 6 feet of distance north. Yeah, we make mistakes that our fathers have made, and my troubles come up from the earth. My teeth grit fierce, and I beg you to understand, grace is my name. Tongues run amok, and fangs will breed on fangs, so keep your secrets in the mattress and pray that they don't escape. It's an impossible act of building our bridges much faster than they can burn, so stay. Because I can't afford the distance shadowing my heart, and what good is a sinner if we haven't got grace? My troubles boulevard across the land. I'm trying to keep them all in the right here. I've given up all my weapons, and I'm headed home. I've struggled with type 2 bipolar disorder for the last 3 years. Between my long, crushing episodes of depression and my short, inspired periods of hypomania, it's become difficult to remember what it felt like to have a stable mood. It has, however, gotten easier to deal with my seesaw of a mental state, and the thoughts and actions that have been brought by my disorder are becoming an easier pill to swallow with every passing day. According to the National Institute of Public Health, 12 million Americans suffer from bipolar disorder for their entire lives. Depression and mania are so distinct of moods that it is easy to characterize them into two separate identities wrestling for control over the self. To share what it feels like to be unable to let something like this go, I will use the following works. David de la Hoz, written by Josh Scogin and Dan Smith. On GP, written by Stefan Burnett. Magic That I Held You Prisoner, written by Greg Fischado. Bliss Point, written by Reagan John Farquhar. A Good Day, written by Kate Rakowski. Puny Huben, written by Doc Lubin. And The Future, written by Neil Hilborn in the following poetry program on Letting Go. The weeks where I forgot how to use my muscles, how I would stay as silent as a thick fog for weeks. She thought that each phone call from an unknown number was the notice of my suicide. These were the bad days. My life was a gift that I wanted to return. My head was a house of leaking faucets and burnt-out light bulbs. Depression is a good lover. So attentive, it has this innate way of making everything about you, and it is so easy to forget that your bedroom is not the world, that the dark shadow your pain casts isn't mood lighting. It is so easy to stay in this abusive relationship than to fix the problems that it has created. So when my transformation started, they didn't scare me. The growling behind my ears and the knocking sounds from behind the walls, they started taking me to doctors. I pretended that they were top secret training facilities. They told me that I had a condition that would sometimes make my brain catch fire. There were a lot of things that were okay when you were a little kid that stop being okay when you're older, like telling your adult employer that you just can't come to work this week because you can't physically stop crying. And so you don't get to go to that job anymore because you forgot the most important rule of the game, to never tell anyone else that you're playing. I can see the words inside your silence, but I can't speak about your pain for you. How long can you burn for anyways, turning over and back again, tongues ablaze like lions without teeth, hungry, staring at the forest of flames in our eyes, just talking with the trees. If only we could drift long enough, we could be home. All you do is harness an electric impulse as you plant that withering body in the rich mulch and just leave behind that glittery Hendrix. Zoom that body, take your insides out, and then get those inners rinsed. And now you can talk about the more pressing issues, like what's up with the state of hip-hop? I mean, where exactly is hip-hop going? And what did hip-hop have for breakfast this morning? Does hip-hop really have the body type to pull off the outfit? I mean, who is hip-hop dating? A holographic rendered Pac? Or what does hip-hop check in the gender box? And all that other inane fluff. Your mind becomes an arcane tusk. So what you invade stuck and overrides the brain trust. I am so tired of all the perks. I've tried nothing. Everything works for less I'm worth. I've served my bid. Oh no, life wasn't what it is. All life was just a bridge. I have seen some free-landed, some tricks. Far I see, high time man quit. Won't let you know when I get going. Phone ring too long. Sails are blown by the fire within, pushing me to you. And you can live inside of me, sewn together, breaking and hailing, growing and breaking again and again, and you are a part of me. You are my home, and I'm your home, but I'm no place you want to be. I won't say a word for fear of failure spreading, so I'm out here again. Sparks hidden behind my teeth. Phone ring too long. I'm probably gone. Ringtone jingled my swan song. I'll show you how to leave well enough alone. I'm not this world, this on-cue world. I fall back, concoct new worlds. I fall out in throbbing swirls. I fall until I stop this world. I fall right off this world. Some like to shoot the unheard in the theater company of the plucked nerve, and so maybe you can access just 1/3 of your mind. Some like the recipes for what lightning eats on characters of my typing teeth, so I stay a skywriting link to show you to your enlightened peak. Interpersonal coup de grace, loose inside of the galloping hoof and paw. New gods get huge applause. Plutonium replacing leaded fuels, and you're lifting from tepid pools. As all the wreckage cools. Now you're a happy fuck. It takes some of us longer to get to our dead ends now. Oh, blood-stained with loose living ran through charcoal hearts to make it red, and we can be on fire again, you and I. You want this? Well, say what you want. Say what you mean. Or we can talk, lung to closed ear. I live down the street from you. You've noticed me. I have never seen you wonder what the fuck I do. Listen up, you nosy bitch. My most recent purchase, old black rope. Gonna learn how to tie it, hang it in my chamber. Perfect reminder, a cult I'm made of. Come try it out whenever you wanna. Last night, 3:30 in the morning, Death on my front porch, can feel him itching to take me with him. Hell, Death, fuck you waiting for? Like a question no one mentioned, he turns around, he slurs. Use at your own discretion, he hands me his weapon. It's been a pleasure. Head inside a hand, turning over and back again together, cut up with cheap heat running through our veins. And we can lay brick by broken brick, our ashes pushed in between, and build this Rome back home to where we want to be. We are not on our own. We are the same. Out of the vial, I can see you hold the grace infinite. Shine out the dark miracle. Felt you reaching out. I caught you as we were both falling down. We were tricked. and scared stiff from the clock that ticks, slow laughing, take this gift for nothing, don't feel shame, sordid, salted eyes, slow burning from the outside, clothes swollen, drop your shield, start searching, but don't look far. You had to be an angel, stripped like Abel, out to burn for everyone. But there's still a glowing, unconsumed that grows anew. All of the stars meant to shine, but when falling, mesmerized. Don't look away! Stop and stare to catch your reflection, for you deserve. You don't have to burn for anyone. You hold grace that you can't see, a self that is no self, no shell to fix a true projection. I caught you as we fell! Now shine out the light from the dark. Don't you worry. Impossible for anything to be a big deal. I'm in no weary, my vital postdated, but clearly been ages since life had appeal. Far more than fascination, my second nature chant, kill 'cause I can, this body by my own hands. My friends and my family, they won't understand, so I stay in the end, it don't make none to me. If it wasn't for them, I would make that decision. I'd do it all again, I would make that decision on general principle. All the nights I don't die for you. Wouldn't believe how many nights I ain't died for you. Not that I care. I would be a liar if I sat here claiming that I would exit in a minute, but I can't say that I wouldn't have my limits. I think a lot about killing myself. Not like a point at a map, but more like a glowing exit sign at a show that's never been quite bad enough to make me want to leave. You see, when I'm up, I don't kill myself because, holy shit, there's so much left to do, but when I'm down, I don't kill myself because then the sadness would be over. And the sadness is my old paint underneath the new. The sadness is the house fire or the broken shoulder. I'd still be me without it, but I'd be so boring.
In informational speech, the speaker's goal is to amaze and amuse their audience with news that they can use. It should not be controversial, as the goal is not to persuade the audience, but to educate them on a topic which they don't know already. This evening's speaker is Rebecca DeSantis. Rebecca is a second-year student, a national bronze medal winner in persuasive speaking, and took second place at the Delta University Pacific Tournament on November 6, 2015. Please welcome Rebecca DeSantis.
I met James on Grindr. He was gorgeous, successful, and hung like a horse. I thought to myself, okay, what's the catch? But before I got in my car and made the schlep over to go see him, he texted me to say that he had something to tell me. Something I should know before we met. At this point, most gay men I know would be preparing to run for the hills, but I'm not most gay men. I put my hands together like a skinny girl at McDonald's in Parade. Please let him say that he's HIV positive. Jake Sobo, an HIV-negative male, shared his experience on his blog, The Promiscuous Gay Nerd, on September 28, 2014. He was unfazed by his partner's HIV-positive status because Sobo was taking one small tablet once a day. Truvada, a preventative HIV medication, also known as pre-exposure prophylaxis, or PrEP. According to the Center for Disease Control website, on August 8, 2015, approximately 1.2 million people are living with HIV in the United States alone. Furthermore, the CDC director went on to say that Austin, Indiana, has a higher incidence rate than any country in sub-Saharan Africa. Clearly, HIV and AIDS are still epidemics that warrant our attention. Truvada became the first medication approved by the Food and Drug Administration in July of 2012 for PrEP for uninfected individuals at high risk for contracting HIV. Therefore, today, we will warm up with what HIV and PrEP medications are, discover how PrEP meds work, and finish with the implications. Human immunodeficiency virus, according to AIDS.gov on April 28, 2014, invades the T cells your body uses to fight off diseases and infections, and is the only virus to splice genetic material into the DNA of these cells to make copies of itself and attack other T cells. In the September 2009 Journal for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome, averaged the years of life lost after HIV contraction at 21 years. However, despite the fact that no vaccines or cures currently exist for HIV on the market, advances in medical treatments have cut this to 10 years of lost life. The FDA reported on July 31, 2015, that the number of new infections annually is 50,000 and continues to remain steady despite several education initiatives on condoms and safe sex practices. Dr. Sheldon Morris of UC San Diego in the instructive video, Preparing for HIV, an Epidemics Interventions Initiative for the University of California on February 28, 2014, estimated that 25% of infected individuals don't know that they are infected and are transmitting HIV unknowingly. Therefore, prevention is the most effective combatant to this epidemic. Consider PrEP as an analogous to taking a vaccine before traveling to a malaria-riddled destination. While other medications are currently being studied for PrEP, such as Mavorixafor, rivaroxaban, divarapamine, and tenofovir, Truvada is proven effective at reducing the risk of contracting HIV. In fact, according to Dr. Bradley Hare, Director of HIV Care for Kaiser Permanente San Francisco Medical Center, on December 12, 2014, they have over 500 Kaiser patients, most of whom are high risk, on PrEP medications, and absolutely no new infections. Now that we've messed around with what HIV and PrEP medications are, let's experiment with how PrEP meds work. Truvada was originally approved to be part of a treatment option for HIV-positive individuals. Studies suggested that it also helped HIV-positive individuals that had another bloodborne pathogen, such as hepatitis B or C. Its use as a preventative medication was only added later, and is to be taken as one tablet, once a day, with or without food, ideally at the same time each day. It works by blocking an enzyme called HIV reverse transcriptase, which is a fancy way to say that the infection can't duplicate inside of the body. Other approval-waiting PrEP medications will work in a similar fashion with one exception, Mavorixafor, which works by blocking the entry of HIV into the body's cells. The IPEREX study from 2010 conducted worldwide found that if 4 tablets of Truvada were taken a week, transmission dropped by 96%. And if it were taken daily, transmission dropped by 99%. Compare that to the HIV vaccine, which is only expected to be no more than 30% effective, according to the pharmacist letter on July 1st, 2015. That's right, get the HIV vaccine, go on a weekend bender with Charlie Sheen, and statistically, you will still have likely contracted HIV. Damn tiger blood. While on PrEP medications, it is recommended that patients see their doctor every 2 to 3 months to increase their medication adherence and conduct occasional blood work. It is estimated that it takes PrEP 7 days to reach high levels of protection in the body. It can also be used in HIV-negative women who are trying to get pregnant with their HIV-positive partner. Overall, these requirements are no different than most maintenance medications. Now that we've tested the waters as to how PrEP meds work, let's wrap around the magnitude of some of the implications. Actor Zachary Quinto, a staunch advocate for HIV awareness, and occasional Vulcan who wants humans to live long and prosper, shared his concerns with Out Magazine on November 11, 2014, when he said, "We don't yet know enough about this vein of medication to see where it will take us down the line." However, his information was inaccurate. Damian Jacobs of HIVequal.org retorted on November 12, 2014. I know, highly illogical, Captain, but the minimal side effects in HIV-positive individuals was well documented prior to the FDA approval of Truvada in 2004, Jacobs states. This medication has a unique perspective in that it can draw on more information and data than most other medications because of its prior approval for a different use. Most important, and not surprising, it only works if taken. While one tablet every single day sounds obnoxious, women have been doing it since the FDA approval of birth control in 1960, but the minimum of 12 tablets spread throughout the day for HIV treatment is obscene, particularly in light of the plethora of side effects that accompany them. One of the benefits of Truvada is little to no side effects, most of which resolved after a month's continued use. They were nausea and fatigue. With the implementation of new technologies in these PrEP studies, we can now know if and when a patient takes their medication. When you hear of blood and organs being denied because of the donor's sexual orientation, we can now be sure of their negative status, thanks to PrEP medications and the tools developed to study them. Genetic therapy is on the rise. Unfortunately, it will only work for treatment after diagnosis and will likely be cost prohibitive. On a larger scale, we look to the city of San Francisco, which has a goal of reaching 0 new infections, 0 AIDS-related deaths, and 0 stigma. They achieved this through improved diagnosis and linkage to care, improved number of patients maintained on antiretroviral therapy, and access to PrEP. This objective has sparked both New York and British Columbia to take similar action. As Dr. George Limp of the University of California tells us in the previously cited instructive video, if we provide this intervention, we can forever alter HIV and AIDS. Today, we've flirted with what HIV and PrEP medications are, explored how PrEP meds work, and measured some of the implications. We are well on our way to no new infections, no AIDS-related deaths, and being as unfazed as Jake Sobel was by anyone's HIV status. For the first time, we strike back at a virus that has claimed 39 million lives worldwide by taking a proactive role. And it all starts with a single tablet, taken once a day.
Hello, everyone. All right, so our final event for the evening is parliamentary debate. Parliamentary debate entails 2 sides. First, we have the government made up of the Prime Minister and the member of the government, whose task is to uphold the topic. And then we have the loyal opposition, which has the leader of the opposition and the member of opposition, who must negate the resolution. Each person will take turns making arguments to support their side of the debate in regards to tonight's following resolution. The United States federal government should reform the war on drugs. Representing the government, we have Michaela Chapa and J.D. Winters. And on opposition, we have Brad Larson and Devin Hickey. Michaela Chapa earned first place at her most recent tournament in Lincoln Douglas debate. And then we have Brad Larson, who is a California State silver medalist. So tonight, please guys, this is very important. This debate requires audience participation. If you like what you hear, feel free to say, "Hear, hear." No, I'm serious. All right, if you don't like the argument, you may say, "Shame." Try it real quick. Shame. Thank you. All right, at the end of the debate, you will choose the winner. Yes, the audience here will be choosing the winner. So without further ado, please welcome Michaela, JD. Remember, these will be the government. Then we have Brad. And finally, Devin. All right, guys, please enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for coming out tonight to support our speech and debate team. You have no idea how much we appreciate it, and hopefully next semester we'll see some of you guys on the team. With that, let's get to the debate. The resolution today is the United States federal government should reform the war on drugs. Definitions today include reform, to make changes in order to improve. War on drugs is contextually defined. Background. The war on drugs, defined as the prohibition of certain drugs that are deemed harmful, has failed, and certain drugs with medicinal benefits have been marginalized, such as cannabis. The United States is missing out on very pertinent research and potential for life-saving opportunities. Cannabis is currently on Schedule 1. Schedule 1 is where drugs are placed if they have high potential for abuse and no accepted medicinal use. And conversely, Schedule 4 is where drugs are placed if they have low potential for abuse and have a current medicinal use. Which brings us to our plan. The United States federal government will transfer cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 4. Enforcement will be through the DEA, and funding will be through normal means. Our advantage is open access. Our harms. Since cannabis is classified as a Schedule 1 drug, research is restricted, meaning current research is mainly done by private entities who are often penalized since cannabinoid research is federally unlawful. These penalizations usually come in the form of government-enforced raids, fines, and often jail time. Under existing federal law, the DEA is allowed to raid both patients as well as dispensaries, places that are essentially pharmacies for people with these debilitating chronic illnesses, which is preventing these people from accessing the drugs that they require to keep their illnesses at bay. Link. Plan passes, and now cannabis is deemed a Schedule 4 drug. Internal link. Because of the rescheduling, now the government and private sector can research without penalization, leading to a decrease in cannabinoid research-related incarcerations, as well as seeing cannabinoid-related medicines as a viable treatment for chronic diseases, since the current research that has been done has found that cannabis contains over 85 cannabinoids, which have yielded potential cures to over 45 diseases, such as sleep apnea, appetite loss, ADD, ADHD, epilepsy, Tourette's, glaucoma, and even HIV and AIDS. Our impacts. The lack of research restrictions increases the number of life-saving drugs on the market due to research finally being allowed to grow to its full potential. Rescheduling cannabis will allow for the true medicinal benefits to be known, which would finally put an end to the DEA being allowed to restrict people from getting their medications. We will see more drugs on the market, such as Marinol, which is a pain-relieving drug that is already FDA approved, or in other cases, see the popularization of medicinal cannabis as a viable treatment for epilepsy or for other debilitating illnesses. And with that thought, I'd like to tell you a story. Baby Charlotte was just 3 months old when she had her first seizure. It lasted 30 minutes. She underwent a battery of tests, and when doctors found nothing, they sent her home. A week later, Charlotte had another seizure. This one was longer, and it was only the beginning. Over the next few weeks, Charlotte continued to have seizures. Charlotte had frequent seizures ranging from 2 to 4 hours each, and she was hospitalized, repeatedly leaving doctors baffled when all of her blood tests and scans came back normal. After years and years of doctors attempting to convince her parents that she would grow out of it, and after hearing about the healing effects of cannabinoids, they sought out cannabinol concentrate without the effects of THC, also known as the chemical in cannabis that gets you high, that would ultimately become the only viable end to her seizures. The specific strain of cannabinol without the effect of THC has come to be affectionately known as Charlotte's Web, after saving young Charlotte's life. Because of young patients like Charlotte, as well as millions of other patients being raided and having their medications taken from them, we should remove cannabis from the Schedule 1 it currently is to the Schedule 4 that we know it deserves. Thank you.
Okay, once again, I want to thank everyone for coming out here tonight. You really have no idea what this means to the debate team. Let's just jump right into it. I'm going to be starting with off case, so we're going to have new negative arguments here. So first of all, the opposition would like to propose a counterplan because the affirmative team does not deal with the heart of the issue of the war on drugs, which is addiction rates and incarceration rates. So what we'd like to do is propose a counterplan. Basically what we've been doing is adopting Portugal's current drug policy plan, in which all drugs are decriminalized, and that means all drugs are decriminalized. And basically what it does after that is the funds that are usually put into incarceration or enforcement are put instead into rehab programs in which these people can actually get their lives together and provide clean needles for them so they don't get diseases such as hepatitis or HIV. Moving on, people caught using or possessing are brought between a dissuasion committee, which basically consists of 3 people: a lawyer, a health services person, and thirdly, a third party. Basically, this panel can decide whether if they want to consider rehab for this person, administer a small fine, or have no negative action taken against this user. However, drug dealers are still taken to jail and are still charged. Moving on to the advantage of our counter plan. Basically, what this leads to is a decrease of jail overcrowding as well as a decrease in diseases. Our harm here is that under our current system, nonviolent drug users are sentenced to jail time rather than given a chance to get clean, which leads to them being sentenced to jail for a long time. With drugs such as crack cocaine and LSD, there are mandatory minimums of at least 5 years for both of these drugs. What this leads to is prisons being overcrowded at a rate of 150%. Moving on to our harm, too, is that once these people are deemed felons, they have a 51% chance to go back to jail. And they have a 51% chance to actually have to do things that are against the law in order to find work, since they can't get a good job, since they are now considered felons. Moving on to our link, which is what happens after our plan passes, is this leads to addicts having the option of receiving help rather than being punished for a medical issue. Because the fact of the matter is, addiction should be seen as a medical issue and not as a criminal issue. Moving on to our internal link is that since these individuals now have the option of getting clean and are no longer labeled felons, they have a second chance at life. Additionally, since less people are being arrested for nonviolent drug crimes, we have a decrease in jail overcrowding, which is excellent. So our impacts, basically what this leads to is lower income addicts can now attend the rehab facilities they didn't have the cash to attend back when they under our current policy, meaning that now we have more funding put it into rehab, so we can have these poor people that couldn't have this as a choice can now go there, and even people that aren't being arrested can seek cures for their addiction. Moving on, this also lowers the cost of incarceration since we're not locking up everyone. We're actually giving them a chance at life and giving them a chance at rehab. And further, it makes safer jails because now we have less people in the jails, so it leads to less people having conflict within the jails, including jail guards. And lastly, this leads to an increase of social welfare, a decreased demonization of drug users, and a decrease in drug use by up to 45%, as well as a decrease in drug deaths by up to 65%, because these people are actually given a chance to get clean. Moving on to what they said. It's all well and good that they're trying to do cancer research with cannabis, and we know that there are a lot of people currently trying to do cancer research with cannabis. If we look to the states that have legalized, there are already 23. However, this makes my point that this is not an issue that we need to be dealing with right now. We have 23 states that have already legalized and 10 more that are on the track to, which means that public opinion of cannabis is changing, which means that soon it will be federally legal. And once it is federally legal, we can have all the benefits of their plan. However, we need to deal with the people that are in jail right now for these mandatory minimums and the things that are keeping them away from their families and keeping them away from rehab and drug treatment and stopping them from having good lives. Thank you very much.
Should I lower this? Oh, cool. All right, I'd like to start off by extending my thank you to everyone, and let's get back into this case. So first, I'd like to refute their case and then talk about my case. So starting off, they say they're going to be providing clean needles, they're going to be providing options for people, but options aren't necessarily fixing everything. We still have Alcoholics Anonymous, but that's not necessarily getting rid of addiction. They're dealing with the root cause of the war on drugs, but are they dealing with the root cause of the root cause, the addiction? The root cause of addiction has to deal with poverty, and in that sense, they're not actually dealing with addiction whatsoever. So with that, I'm saying that incarceration is there are many factors to incarceration, such as socioeconomic indifferences, there's unfair legal systems, and also institutionalized ghettos. With that, those are the reasons that there are many incarcerations within the prisons, not drugs. Drugs are just a Band-Aid cause. We should not be ripping off the Band-Aid in such a way that is so violent, such as decriminalization. So with that, let's go back to my case. So we're spending about $125 billion per year, which is about more than twice as much as we spend on incarceration. With that, we're taking cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 4, which is much better for everyone medicinally. We're actually helping people with medical research and medicinal use. We're solving for many of the cancer problems, many of the seizure problems, many other medical problems. We're taking a small step, but it's a step in the right direction, which is a great step. One small step is a great leap in this factor, in this sense. So, we'll be saving lives, and we'll also be making like people like Charlotte's lives better. We'll be helping those who are disenfranchised in that sense and who have to go through tedious, obstructive routines such as Charlotte. But what we're doing, we are dealing with a problem in the best way possible, which is step by step, instead of just taking the whole thing at once. And please, what we need to do, we do not let the users make the abusers look the users look bad. But what we need to do, we do not let stuff like Quaaludes that Cosby uses, GHB like rape drugs, or heroin, cocaine, or crack on the streets and decriminalize then the negative backlash for them. We need to take that and we need to research it, we need to study it, and we need to use it to our benefit instead of actually just saying like, oh, we're just gonna have less penalties on it. So, please, opposition, let's take it slow. Don't do everything at once. Please, at least take me out for dinner first. I am there.
All right, thank you guys one more time. I swear that's the last time you hear it for tonight. And just for any of you guys flowing out there, I'm gonna go with off case, which is our case, and then I'll be going back to on case, which is the government's case. So going with right into ours, they keep trying to say that the war on drugs isn't really about incarceration, that it's more about the addiction, but prison is absolutely a giant problem that faces this nation. As my partner previously said, for 150% overcrowded in these prisons, we're dealing with a giant crisis right now. Not only is prison more dangerous, both for the inmates and the guards, but we're not giving addicts the attention they need. We're not treating their addiction as a medical disease. Instead, we're treating it as a criminal offense in the same way that we look at it in the same way that we'd look at, say, murder, rape, or assault, which clearly they're not relatable in any way. So, with this, we also, besides just overcrowding, what our plan would allow is for addicts to be able to face rehabilitation. And once again, it's not like they're getting off clean. They will be facing a 3-person tribunal involving a lawyer and a social worker, which means that they have to come up with an immediate roadmap for the future and what they're going to do with their drug addiction. And the illegal side, in terms of drug dealers and anyone holding up the illicit drug trade, will absolutely face the justice of the law and will face jail time. So anyone who's making a profit off of illegal drugs or causing murders to promote the drug trade will indeed be going to jail, as they should, and be labeled as criminals. And then lastly, they keep trying to say that our plan isn't really dealing with all of addiction, but the fact is that's not really, we're not trying to stand up here telling you that 100% of addicts are going to be rehabilitated, but the fact is far more are going to be rehabilitated with our plan than are currently being rehabilitated now, simply because instead of shoving them into a cell, we'll be placing them in a medical facility where they'll have on-hand attention from medical professionals who can give them the hope that they can overcome this addiction and move on with their lives. So now we will go back onto our on case. As you just heard the affirmative say, they're making a small sequential step. Well, the fact is, we're here telling you that that's not enough. We are going for that giant leap. We are giving you a plan that decriminalizes drug use and instead targets the people that are pushing the drugs, and consequently the people who are addicted to the drugs are going to be overcoming the disease and will be able to move on. Also, another thing they brought up was cancer research. Cancer research is great. I think everyone can agree in this room that cancer is another problem that we face with that we want to take back and deal with. But the fact is that treating cancer research and saying that the money they'll put towards it will have an effect isn't very viable, because the fact is it's an unknown effect. We don't know how long it will take for any positive effect to start coming forward. The fact is, though, with our plan, we know that there will take an immediate effect. We will be able to develop more rehabilitation centers, and we will be immediately able to have those struggling with addiction to be put in these centers to be treated for their addiction. And so there's a higher immediate effect and a more prominent effect in our plan. And as my partner also mentioned, the public opinion is actually leaning towards our plan. With 23 states already allowing medical use and 10 more considering it, we can see that the public wants to see the criminalization of both cannabis, and we're pushing that further and say with the decriminalization of all drugs that we can move towards a brighter future for everyone, and ultimately we can move towards a more freer state with liberties being protected. Thank you.
All right, I was going to thank you again, but Devin said no more, so I'll leave it there. So first of all, let's just get down to the nitty-gritty on this. What is really going to be a better idea here? We can see that public opinion is already being pushed towards cannabis, and I know that decriminalizing all drugs does sound like quite a crazy idea, but the fact of the matter is decriminalizing these drugs will take away the stigma that these drugs have. And it'll make it so these drugs aren't the cool thing to do. These drugs will be seen as a medical problem that people will be seeking help for. So this is not going to be increasing people's perception of what these drugs are. It's not going to be making more people go out in the streets and try to buy them. It's going to make the exact opposite happen. And the fact of the matter is, the research that they're advocating for is research that we're already going to be getting in the status quo because of the public opinion changing on cannabis. Like I stated, 23 states have already legalized, 10 more are trying to, and we can possibly see this on the ballot in 2016 for federal legalization, at least on the medical level. So the fact of the matter is, they're trying to solve for something that's already going to be solved for, and they're ignoring all these people in prisons that are basically being subjected to terrible treatment since there are so many people in these prisons. They have to sleep on the ground. They don't even have beds. They don't even have beds in their own prison. I mean, they're already locked in jail. At least give them a bed, dude. Come on. And the fact of the matter is, we're trying to help these addicts. We're trying to make it so drugs are no longer a problem. We're not trying to shell out more money and more money, trying to lock up more and more people to keep this problem going on and on the way it has been for years, since the 1970s. We're trying to take a stand and change this. We need to change our attitudes if we want to make any change whatsoever, and the only way to do that is to stop viewing addiction as a criminal issue and start viewing it as a medical issue. The fact of the matter is, these people need help, and a lot of them want help. So why shouldn't we offer it to them?
Well, I'm going to make a liar out of Devin and thank you one last time. So thank you. And I just want to tell you straight up why we won this case. Although it does seem like a noble option to lessen the already overcrowded prisons and give addicts an option, but when it comes at the cost of legalizing all drugs, let's think about that real quick, all drugs, including rape-enabling drugs that will be even easier to access, and take away the legalities and the repercussions for possessing these drugs, including Quaaludes and GBH, which is known as the date rape drug. So the opposition will be making all these drugs legal, taking away the repercussions of having these drugs, thus potentially increasing the amount of rapes in society. And that just cannot be. And although it is the prison population does need to be reformed. That is true. But tackling it here is not the case. We need to handle it on the federal level. We need to handle it first by taking care of the medicinal level of cannabis. We first need to make cannabis able to be researched because it can heal people. It can save lives. And it is not being done. The research is being impeded by federal law. And so if we follow through with our plan and make cannabis a Schedule IV drug like it so rightfully deserves to save all these lives that they do deserve to be saved, that no one is advocating for as of right now, these lives need to be saved. And the affirmative plan is doing that. The opposition's plan, however, is putting all of these drugs and all of these illicit substances back on the street, back into circulation, back into potentially your family's hands. And that's not what we need. We need to take care of medicine first. We need to decrease the funds for cancer research by increasing the research for medicinal cannabis. And we all know that medicinal cannabis can actually save lives if given the chance. So you're going to vote for the affirmative in the case that we deserve to change this. Thank you.
All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, you guys will be the judge tonight. So once again, we have the government here, Michaela and JD.
One more clap, please. One more round of applause. And then the opposition here, Brad and Devin. All right, so without further ado, let's see who won. Let's do this real quick. We have the government. All right, and the opposition. All right, let's do this one more time. Remember, this is the question here was the United States federal government should reform the war on drugs. For the government. And finally, the opposition. All right, I'm going to have to go with the opposition tonight. All drugs for everyone. All right, so thank you everyone for coming out tonight, all right? Remember, everyone came out here for extra credit, but if you miss your classes tomorrow, your speech teachers may not give you the extra credit, okay? And remember, this is Communications 50, everyone, so if you're looking at doing something like this tonight, go ahead and join. And then Communications 75 is sports broadcasting. You guys have all a good night.
Everyone wants that all drug.